Okay, continuing on with conduct. Let's see. 3.3 talks about avoiding performing dual or conflicting roles in interdisciplinary situations, which would be things that I've already mentioned in other videos, such as educational settings, mental health settings, those types of things. It is very difficult sometimes. You know, very often you are called to be an interpreter / aide, especially in the educational setting. And so where do you draw the line between your roles of being one versus the other, being the counselor versus the interpreter? You're going to need to avoid that at all costs. And then the next code actually speaks to that as well. 3.4 says, comply with established workplace codes of conduct, notify appropriate personnel if there is a conflict with this code of professional conduct, and actively seek resolution where warranted. So henceforth, if you know that your roles are going to conflict, or you know that your code of professional conduct conflicts with the workplace code of conduct, you're going to need to let somebody in on that. One place where there is a conflict, but I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do the conflict, is, say I'm working in a school setting, and I did used to be a K through 12 interpreter. Loved it. Thought I would hate it. Thought I would hate little grubby kids. It was fun. Loved it. Can't say enough about it. Anyway, if I'm working in an elementary school setting, those little kids, they don't really fully understand the concept of an interpreter, or an aide for that matter. They just know there are multiple adults in the room, okay? And so henceforth, they just think I'm a teacher, or, I mean, they don't really fully understand. I can tell them as much as I want to that I'm the interpreter, but they see you and they will call you teacher, they will call you all kinds of things, and, well, sometimes not good. But anyway, you know, they just see you as another adult in the room. Henceforth, if I see a little hearing or deaf kid running at me with scissors, I am not going to think to myself, I am just the interpreter, I am not here for discipline. If they hit me with the scissors, then they just hit me, and they will have to deal with the consequences with the teacher. But I'm not saying anything. Heck no! I'm going to tell the little kid, put the scissors down! You know, I mean, I'm not crazy. I am an adult in the room, and if I see things that the children are getting away with, they may not, at that age at least, they may not fully understand that I'm the interpreter and it's not my role to discipline you. Henceforth, you need to draw the line at least at certain places, especially where safety is concerned. And so, another sticky area, and we're going to talk about that in some of the ethical scenarios that we get into in our class discussions, are going to be cheating. When should you allow that and when shouldn't you allow that? It's a touchy subject. So anyway, but I really draw the line where safety is concerned, and at that point I'm going to go ahead and perform the conflicting role and say, put the scissors down, because I don't want to go to the hospital, period. Okay? 3.4 again talks about that. 3.5 next talks about, it says, conduct and present themselves in an unobtrusive manner and exercise care in choice of attire. And in one of the previous videos I've talked to you guys about attire, that you need to wear, you know, a solid colored background. Sometimes, like for example on this shirt, sometimes this would distract people, sometimes not. I really do try when I'm interpreting at least to wear a solid colored background, but it just depends. Let's see. Also, unobtrusive manner. Good Lord. Okay. I worked with an interpreter one time who we were introducing ourselves in a photography class in college. And it was funny because I won't, well, there are some interpreters who will say, well, I shouldn't even introduce myself. Well, no, if you're going to be with people for an entire semester, or like an AA or drug and alcohol rehab group, I'm okay with introducing myself because they need to feel comfortable with you. You know, you're going to be there, they need to feel comfortable with you, especially with confidential information. Now, what I will say though is I don't make my spiel, I call it my spiel, I won't make it long. I'll say something to the effect, hi, my name is Lael Hudson. I have been a sign language interpreter for the past 10 years. I work at this college as a full-time employee, and I'm going to be here with you for the rest of the semester. Short, simple, sweet, you know. Sometimes I'll even do it shorter than that or longer than that, depending upon what people ask me to do, but I'm not going to make it some long, drawn-out thing. So I introduced myself in this photography class because they asked me to. The interpreter next to me, here's what she did. Well, hi there, my name is Susie Interpreter, and, well, let's see, I've been interpreter since, well, let me think. I started learning sign language back in, 77, and I was at this one school where there were some deaf kids, and good Lord, she was talking for at least 15 minutes, okay? I mean, and she's just going on and on and on, and I felt like it was one of those cartoons where I should get a cane and try to drag her off the stage, you know? And what was even worse is that the hearing teacher was just so into this and was like, wow, well, that's really interesting. So where could we learn some sign language? And she was about to answer it, and I put my hand on her knee, and I looked at her, and I looked at the deaf student, and I signed to them, you know, where can I learn some sign language? Because you know what? Let the deaf student answer some questions. It's not all about us. It's about them and the consumers building a relationship and a rapport, not us, you know? At least not that much. So anyway, just try not to make a spectacle of yourself, you know? 3.6, oh, and really quickly, back to that too, make sure you're not wearing any kind of overpowering perfume or cologne or lotion or anything like that, because some people are allergic to that kind of stuff. So, again, just try to be unobtrusive if at all possible. 3.6, refrain from the use of mind-altering substances before or during the performance of duties. Really? Really? We need to tell you that? Let me give you the dare message. Don't do drugs. Okay? Just, yeah. Okay. That's enough of that. But I mean, that also, I will say that also goes back to, even if you're using prescription drugs and you know that, I mean, like, for example, Benadryl and me do not agree, okay? If I take Benadryl for my allergies, which I just don't do anymore, I will be, like, crazy for 30 minutes, and then, like, I drop dead. You know, I just go to sleep. And so I can't take Benadryl and work, and I know that. And so just be aware of that. Even if it's something that's prescription or over-the-counter, still be aware of that. 3.7. Disclose to parties involved any actual or perceived conflicts of interest. You know, I interpreted, in the interpreting community, again, it's a very small community, right? I interpreted for this one couple, and I interpreted for the wife with parent-teacher meetings, and the wife and the husband for that, and then I interpreted for the husband and the wife for their house closing on video phone conversations. I've interpreted some of their phone calls. I've just happened to, you know, I interpreted, and then, so I've done all this for this family. Then I interpreted for this one woman to do a house closing for herself. Okay, for her and her boyfriend, but her boyfriend wasn't there. And so all of a sudden later, I ended up having to do a CPS, or Child Protective Services meeting. And all of a sudden I realized it's this woman, and her boyfriend is the husband. All of them are deaf, okay? Some deaf, some hearing kids. And it was ugly, okay? So I know these people's business. And then at the college that I was interpreting at, I realized that the husband was going to come and take classes. And so I didn't know, I was okay with interpreting for him, but I didn't know if he would be okay with me being his interpreter. So I went to the disabilities counselor and let her know up front, hey, Bobby Deaf person is coming in, and I just wanted you to know that if he's not okay with me being his interpreter, it may be a conflict of interest. I'm okay with that. I just wanted you to know that ahead of time. Didn't give her any information, anything like that, but just wanted her to know this may be a conflict of interest. And, yeah, he was okay with it and whatever, so no shame there. And so I interpreted and it was fine, but, you know, you do need to watch out for any actual or perceived conflicts of interest. And we'll get into conflict of interest a little bit more in the next video. We're going to do one more on conduct. All right? Enjoy!